another Monday Night Raw review. They started off with Nia and Shayna brawling, and it was one of those. It was before, what they say. It was before the show started type brawls, and they brawled straight from the back all the way to the ring. And Raquel, once Nia get that upper hand on Shayna, Raquel will come out, and then when Raquel tried to big boot, I was looking at my notes. When Raquel tried to big boot Nia, she would move out the way, and then Raquel would big boot Shayna, and then while Shayna was down and Raquel was distracted, Nia would get the upper hand on Raquel, and then Rhea would come out. So this was like all of Nia's people basically coming out that she beat up. They was all coming back, and Raquel and Nia was working each other. They was brawling, and basically Rhea would get the upper hand for a bit, and then everybody would just jump back in. It was just like chaos. They all just sitting there fighting. And then Raquel started fighting Rhea, Shayna, and Nia, and then security would come and break it up, and then pretty much restore order. After a while, they were there with crazy and start beating up security guards. The whole nine. They really be like trying to make Rhea like this big monster woman. Which means I can't wait to see what they do with Jade Cargill. And she got some spotlight on this show too. I don't have it in my notes. Like I forgot to write it down like where, but she did get like a little hype spotlight in Raw. But since Rhea was already out in the ring, she calls the rest of Judgment Day down that she's gonna have some business. And it's here we learn that Finn Balor is out on injury, and Damian Priest is not cleared to compete. So basically, they trying to say that from the brawl of last week. The brawl from last week, Finn was injured with that, and Damian Priest was unable to compete. But from what is being said, this was just some last minute changes, and they just using that to cover the last minute changes. And this wouldn't be the first. That was like the ringing theme of this episode was that they changed a lot, and I mean a lot. I'm trying to figure out. Okay. But yeah, Rhea would basically scold Damian Priest for not handling business and Dirty Dom losing that NXT No Mercy, and then she would scold Dominic Mysterio for losing that NXT No Mercy and tell him that he would get his rematch on tonight against Trick Williams, who was the new NXT North American champion. He also made an appearance on the show too, which since I'm on the subject of it, might as well put these two segments together, even though this part happened later on in the show. But Dominic Mysterio would get in Trick Williams' face and basically tell him that he's going to handle business on NXT and that he will have backup. But yeah, back to the actual segment. Rhea told Dom that actually it was because of her, he got his rematch, and that if he doesn't win and bring back that North American Championship back to Mommy is gonna be pretty upset. No, I think what she said, Mommy, don't bother coming home to Mommy. So Jay would come out, right? And he basically would tell Rhea that Rhea, it looks like Monday Night Raw got a new tribal chief, and he said that Rhea had the bigger balls than Roman Reigns ever did, which got the crowd going. Rhea kind of like took it as a compliment because you could tell she was pissed, but at the same time she was like, okay, that's kind of true. She tried to she was like, she wanted to be mad, but then she was like, Uh, but this will lead to J.D. McDonough. No, Damian Priest trying to fight Jey Uso, but then he was like, no. Damian was like, no, you're not made to compete within the whole crowd booing him. So, but you could basically make out that he's telling Damian Priest, no, you're not American girl to compete, and I want to take care of business for just today and mommy. And he fights with Jey Uso, but J.D. McDonough comes out once Jey Uso gets the best of Dirty Dom. J.D. McDonough comes out and basically it becomes a 2-on-1 and they fight brawl. But Cody Rhodes comes out and make the save, and then Adam Pearce, who basically had enough Judgment Day since they've been basically for the first since the so it came on air, they've been causing trouble. So he was like, at Fastlane, it would be Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes versus Finn Balor. I also got that name, Finn Balor and Damian Priest with the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Then we finally, after all that, we get our first match of the night, which is Imperium versus Alpha Academy. It was Sans Gunther. It was Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni. And the story here was just basically Giovanni needed to get the act together, him and Ludwig, because they haven't been pulling their weight like Gunther. So they brawl. I mean, they have a good little tag team match. But Giovanni would cause a distraction that allowed Ludwig Kaiser to get the best of Otis, which gave them the victory. Let's see. I couldn't remember if we got like a backstage segment, but we just go straight into the next match, which is Bronson Reed versus Cedric Alexander. Nothing too special here, just a squash match, really, just pretty much a squash match. Bronson Reed, pretty much squash Cedric, but it's good to see Cedric on TV. Gunther and Tommaso Ciampa will have their contract signed, and it's basically said that I guess it wasn't going to happen at Fastlane. It was going to happen next Monday, because Fastlane is this Saturday, but it was going to happen next Monday, and I guess they was doing the contract signing. Tommaso said this is he tells Gunther this means everything to him, that he's going to basically destroy and take away the one thing that means so much to Gunther, because it's the one thing that defines his career, just being on the main roster. But you could tell that Tommaso was getting more and more angry because of how confident and how smug Gunther was during his passing speech. And Gunther basically told him that he is a noble thing for him to fight for. Like everything he said was noble, was the right thing. But he said the only thing that matters to him is the great Intercontinental World Heavyweight Championship, and that this is as close as he ever going to get to it. But Tommaso Ciampa having enough of Gunther's smug attitude. It was like, you're so confident right now. Why don't we do this right here, right now, tonight? And he said all they got to do is change some words around this contract, and they can have the match tonight, which they do. This would be, I think, 2-3 changes, because the match was definitely for to be advertised for next week, but they changed it to this week. Now I believe they did that because of all the changes they made to the show, that they were like, we got to get them something. So this was made like the main event. Let's see, then we finally, after all that, gets to the third match of the night, which is Xavier Woods versus Ivar. Pretty good match between the two. Not as good as he had with Kofi, but pretty good, pretty decent. Well, I want to say not pretty good. It was okay. It wasn't as good as Kofi, but it was okay. Xavier Woods, I had King Woods on here, so I'm going to call him King Woods. Xavier Woods basically won with the backwoods, and but Ivar would basically destroy both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. They did talk briefly about, I guess, this too, because it connected to Drew McIntyre's promo later on the night that he was, how they crashed in Drew McIntyre. And they basically, from last week, how they said they told Drew that Jay is on the road trying to make things right, so he deserves at least to prove himself so people can forgive him. But more on that later in Drew's promo. We got the Seth Rollins promo next, where he basically interviewed by Michael Cole. Michael Cole talked about how over the years he helped create some of Seth Rollins' most iconic nicknames. But he went from being what's considered a puppeteer to now being a puppet. And he said that this is because he believes Shinsuke is playing Seth Rollins. And Seth doesn't believe that. So he asked Seth, why would you do this to yourself? And he says, because being here is like breathing. I need this. I want this. So he said that's pretty much why he needed, he wanted. So, in a sense, that's he needed, he wanted. So, in a sense, that is why he's doing this. I was trying to remember what else he said. I couldn't remember. Shinsuke Nakamura came out. Well, at first he had a promo on screen telling Seth Rollins that everything he's saying was a lie, that he just doing it to garner sympathy. And then it was revealed that that was just a distraction so he could beat him up and due to their last man standing match where he just basically beat him up. And each time he did, he kept trying to count to 10. The first 2 times was like his video Titantron setup. But Seth Rollins kept getting up, and then the last time he did it himself, and Seth Rollins couldn't get up. That was a good promo, by the way. Probably one of the best promos, and just because I forgot to touch on the fact that he gave Michael Cole a shout out, how Michael Cole be on the commentary desk for 26 years, and out of those 26 years, he's only missed 2 days. 2 days, and 2 times he missed a show. And that's impressive itself. We got Chelsea Green versus Tegan Nox, which I think was based off of a backstage segment in which Chelsea Green interrupted Tegan Nox and Adam Pearce when Adam Pearce was telling them about how her match tonight with Becky Lynch. Another change was changed because Becky Lynch's injury that she suffered at NXT No Mercy, and man, that injury was gruesome. I mean, did you see it? It's like she got cut so deep, the meat just wouldn't stay in her. They said they had to give her 11 stitches just so that the wound would finally close. Crazy, and I mean, it was disgusting. I almost threw up a little bit, but because of this is where we got the next match. It was a good match between the two. I wish they would have got longer because the one thing I want to touch on too, the fans was up and down throughout the show. They was for some matches, for some segments, and then was just like, I could care less. But this match, it's Chelsea Green. I like this match because Chelsea Green and Tegan Nox so that they could be great if you just give them the time to truly shine in the ring. Even though this wasn't a long match, this was the most impressive I've seen of Chelsea Green since she's been back. And she showed some really good in-ring talent. But Tegan Nox would get the victory here with some help from Natalya. Because I think Piper tried to interfere and basically which I think caused a distraction, but Natalya would come out and like even now, I think before there was a backstage segment where Natalya basically apologized to Tegan Nox for her hostility towards her. Drew McIntyre would get a promo next where he would basically explain his actions over the last couple of weeks, basically saying that he's tired of fighting battles. This is not him turning heel or going dark. It's just that he's tired of interfering in people's battles and going into his battles at 50%. He said he's just not doing that no more. This doesn't mean he's a bad guy. He's just saying I want to go into my battles at 100% instead of 50. He also basically touched upon the fact that forgiveness, that he touched upon the Cody Rhodes and how Cody Rhodes is demanding or asking for people to give Jey Uso a chance to prove himself and for forgiveness. And he said forgiveness is for the weak, but the Miz will interrupt and piss and Drew McIntyre off, giving us our next match, which is the Drew McIntyre versus the Miz. I think what the Miz basically pissed Drew McIntyre off by saying that he was being a hypocrite and that he wasn't the Batman of WWE, he was the Two-Face of WWE because he played both sides of the fence. But they had a pretty good match. It was weird that the Miz had to wrestle in a suit, but it was a pretty good match. But you could tell it was going to happen because if you looked at Miz's shoes, he had on his ring boots. He didn't have on his regular suit, the shoes he would wear with his suit, but he had on his ring boots. But it was a pretty good match with Drew McIntyre winning with some dirty tactics, honestly, because he exposed the ring turnbuckle and used it to defeat the Miz of all people. So I don't know where they're going with it, but I'm guessing he's going to be ill. Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso basically cut backstage promos about why they're going to be victorious. Well, Jey was backstage while Cody Rhodes was on stage in front of the crowd. But they both said the same thing, that they're going to work together. They're going to beat Judgment Day and walk out as tag team champions. And then we got the main event, which was a banger of a match. It was a banger. I loved it. It was worthy of a main event. It was worthy. Gunther and Tommaso Ciampa put on a banger of a match. Hard hitting. They even played up an injury that Gunther got to his hand, which means he couldn't deliver the power bombs. He couldn't really do the chops and nothing like that. But he fought through the pain to do it. Even Tommaso, the crowd wasn't into it at first, but then they got into it once the near falls and everything started happening. Then that's when the match picked up and they really got into it. But Gunther would eventually get the victory. But it was the ending that the fans loved the most. Was because the ending, even though Gunther got the victory, the fans still got something they wanted. DIY, baby. Johnny Gargano would come out because Luca Giovanni would beat up on Tommaso Ciampa, and Gunther would just smile and walk away. But then Johnny Gargano came out and made the save, and I think Gunther tried to interfere, but they ran him off, but they would beat up on Luca and Giovanni, and DIY was basically reuniting, and they was doing a little thing where they was about to do signature move, but because that time went out, the show ended before we could see it. This was a good episode of Monday Night Raw. I ain't gonna lie, it was pretty good. There was some things that could have been better. Could have did without the numerous, I think 4 or 5 obvious changes to the show. But as a go-home show to Fastlane, this wasn't pretty bad. This was better than most go-home shows have been in a while. So I would say I would give this episode of Monday Night Raw, I give it 7 out of 10 big ups. But let me know in the comments down below what you guys thought, and if you enjoy my review, you know what to do. You hit this button right there for all of my WWE reviews. And if you enjoyed the video so much, you want to support the channel. Couldn't talk right there. You want to support the channel, you know what to do, guys. Hit those buttons. And as always, hit any one of these videos for more of my amazing content. But I got more. See you in the next one. Peace.